Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is June 17th, 2025 and Hansi Flick has called up yet another up-and-coming talent out of La Masia. Also, two more players that can help Barcelona's finances during this summer transfer market. And finally, Gerard Martin has undergone successful surgery. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and we'll begin this video with the news that Hansi Flick has called up yet another young talented player to the preseason, and it's no other than Jean Virgili. Jean Virgili is an 18-year-old left winger, someone who was considered as a promising player but now has become one of the most talked about talents in the academy, someone that renewed most recently until 2027, and someone who, thanks to his speed, creativity, and decision-making, caught the eye of Hansi Flick, because as you know, Hansi Flick has been monitoring the academy's teams and Barca Athletic, and given this player's talent, Hansi Flick has decided to call up Jean Virgili to the preseason so he can participate with Barcelona's training and, of course, their tour to Asia to see whether Jean Virgili can impress the German coach and whether he can earn a spot on the first team. Now, speaking of the academy, we do have to talk about two former academy players that can, well, generate some cash for Barcelona. One of them will actually, or has already generated cash, which is Elish Moriba. Elish Moriba, the 22-year-old defensive midfielder who came up through La Masia, someone that was showing a lot of promise and it seemed like could be, a generational talent for Barcelona, or at least someone important for Barcelona. But unfortunately, he was not advised well by his agent, and given his impatient and desire to, earn the big bucks and be important on the first team, he ended up leaving to RB Leipzig back in 2021. And that proved to be a bad move, because since then he's bounced around teams on loan: Valencia, Getafe, now Celta Vigo, where finally Elish Moriba has found a spot at Celta Vigo, and Celta Vigo have decided to activate the option to buy worth 6 million euros, and Celta Vigo will pay 6 million euros to RB Leipzig for Elish Moriba. And since Barcelona own 10% of the rights of the player, Barcelona will receive 600,000 euros. Not a lot of money, but given the club's financial situation, hey, any euro is welcome. Now, Elish Moriba was transferred to Leipzig for 16 million euros, so another 600,000, I guess 16.6 for a player that costs you nothing. Overall, not a bad operation. Now, another player that could generate cash for Barcelona during this summer transfer market, cash that Barcelona will need, because as you know, they just triggered the release clause of Joan Garcia. They are set to trigger the release clause of Nico Williams, is Mika Marmelo, the 23-year-old center back who currently plays for Las Palmas, someone that Las Palmas has declared as untransferable. But of course, despite them declaring that, Mika Marmelo is still insistent that he wants to leave, and as such, whichever team that decides to sign Mika Marmelo will have to activate his release clause. Now, Mika Marmelo's release clause is worth 10 million euros, and Barcelona own 50% of the rights of the player, so whoever pays that 10 million euros, 5 out of those will go to FC Barcelona. And right now, they're stating that both Roma and Sevilla are heavily interested in the player. We'll see where Mika Marmelo ends up, but again, the more money comes our way, the better it is for the club, who will need that cash to register players. Now, speaking of defenders, it's reported that Barcelona are set to meet with Andreas Christensen in the upcoming weeks in order to convince the player to be placed on the transfer market. Now, as you know, Deco, despite Hansi Flick opposing this move, has decided to place Andreas Christensen on the market, because since Ronald Araujo has just renewed his contract, and you can't really have two high-profile players on the bench, because we know that Pau Cubarsí and Iñigo Martínez will remain the two starting center backs. Deco has decided that Christensen should be placed on the transfer market for strategic purposes, where he did come for free, so any money that Barcelona make off him would be complete profit. Also, you could remove a senior player's salary and replace them with an academy player with a much, much lower salary. So as such, Deco has decided to place Christensen on the transfer market. For now, Christensen is insisting that he wants to stay in Barcelona. He has a contract until the summer of 2026. But both Deco is expected to meet with Christensen in the upcoming few weeks to try to clear things up with Christensen, let him know, hey, we don't count on you, and see if the player agrees to leave during this summer transfer market. Now, while we're still on the topic of defenders, we do have to talk about Gerard Martin, because Gerard Martin has undergone successful surgery on his hand. As I reported previously, Gerard Martin participated in Spain's under-21 first match in the European under-21 competition. Unfortunately, he suffered an injury to his right hand. He had to abandon the Spanish concentration and come back to the city of Barcelona. And well, today he underwent successful surgery on that hand, and Barcelona have reported that Gerard Martin will be available for the preseason. So this surgery will not delay Gerard Martin's preseason training. Now, Gerard Martin did have some interest from Premier League clubs, including Wolverhampton and Bournemouth, where Bournemouth even offered up to 12 million euros for the Barcelona defender. But Gerard Martin has rejected both offers. He wants to stay in Barcelona. He knows that Hansi Flick counts on him for the upcoming season, so he wants to remain with the club. Now, we will end today's video with the news that another player that has rejected multiple offers, some of them are, one of them being said that was a massive offer. We don't know the numbers, but this player is Fermín López. Fermín López continues to attract interest from clubs all around the world, and I say the world because it's no longer just European clubs. As I reported previously, Chelsea approached Barcelona, offering them 70 million euros for Fermín López, or Incunco in exchange for the player, which Barcelona said no to, and so did the player. And the recent club to approach the player to see if he's interested was Bayern Munich, and it's been revealed that Fermín López has also rejected the offer of the Germans. And today they said there were reports stating that Al Ahly, the Saudi club Al Ahly, also approached the player and made him a huge, massive offer with an incredibly high salary beyond his dreams. But Fermín López has reportedly also said no to Al Ahly. And Fermín López continues to insist that he wants to stay in Barcelona. Of course, he did renew until 2029. And as far as Barcelona, they count fully on him, especially Flick. He believes that Fermín López is a very important player. He would not like to see the player leave. So the only way Fermín López would leave Barcelona is if the player himself approached Barcelona and said, hey, I want to leave. Please let me go. All right, that is all the news for this video. I did upload another video before this one. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out. Don't forget, tomorrow, Wednesday, we have the podcast. My favorite day are podcast days. And Saturdays, exclusive podcast for for channel members only. So if you haven't become a channel member yet, make sure you do by going to your home tab, the home tab of the channel, whether you're on your cell phone or your computer, then click on the join button so you can get access to Saturdays podcast exclusive for members only, where the members watching get to steer the conversation. All right, that is all. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.